Well, it is one of the most wonderful times of the year, and I don't mean Christmas. I mean, it is almost time for March Madness. I have honestly fallen away from NCAA basketball in the last couple of years just because of work and everything, but it never fails that when March comes around, I am glued to the TV watching this tournament. And my team didn't make it again to the big dance this year, but they are in the CIT tournament, so we're going to be talking about that. And also today, I just want to kind of look at what the human race might look like. What is coming down the road as far as artificial intelligence, and what does that look like as it comes down the road in the next 10, 15, 50 years in my lifetime? What could happen with artificial intelligence? That's today on the 306 podcast. Well, one of the things that I do is I love reading. I love trying to increase my knowledge on things. And so a client of mine gave me this book. It is the Dave Ramsey EntreLeadership book, and I just started reading it, and I really respect Dave Ramsey and what he does and his approach to what he believes in and how he has come to those conclusions. And I love how in the beginning of this book, he talks about how he was broken as a man. He was broke financially, and he was just broke spiritually, and this is kind of his blueprint on how he got back up and now is running multi-million-dollar businesses. And so I'm excited. Not that you read this and you're going to be running multi-million-dollar businesses, but I think there's going to be valuable advice in here, and obviously there is. I mean, it's a book that has been sold millions of times. And so I'm looking forward. I'll definitely be recapping it at some point, somewhere, maybe on my personal channel, which if you don't follow my personal channel, just go to the YouTube channel, or I'll tweet it out or something. I don't know. But the big thing right now is artificial intelligence. And I want to spend the bulk of this podcast talking about what AI is, what are some of the things that it's starting to do, what are some of the things that I think might happen down the road, and the effects that might have on what the human race is. And I'll explain what I mean by that later. But there are some pretty big names of people out there that are starting to become concerned. And, people with the names of Stephen Hawking, Elon Musk, Steve Wozniak, Bill Gates. And when these people, they're very intelligent people, and when they start to say, we might need to really slow down with this AI thing and figure out the best method to use it properly, I think we should listen. But before we get into that, like I said, it's March Madness time. It starts this week. I am pumped. I have my bracket here. It is empty. I just printed it out, but I typically will fill in like 4 brackets, and then I kind of consolidate those 4 brackets down into one final bracket. But that's probably what I'll be spending today and tomorrow on, because as of recording this, it is March 13th, and I have till tonight to finish it. I just realized the play-in games are tonight. So I'm going to be doing that. But other than just this NCAA tournament, I'm also going to be interested in the CIT tournament because a team that I like to follow, St. Francis University, the Red Flash out of Loretto, Pennsylvania. I think it's the smallest or the second smallest D1 school in the country. And it's near where I live. And I just grew up going to their games because my aunt worked for the university, and so she would take me to basketball games. And I loved watching this team. And recently, they've been doing very well. I mean, I think they finished near the top of their conference. It was like a log jam for second place, but They finished with a winning record, and it's great for that program. And they were actually picked to win the conference, and they just had some bad games. And like I said, it was a logjam near the top, and they didn't make it through their conference tournament. But they are going to be in the CIT tournament, and they're playing UIC, the University of Illinois Chicago, and that game is also tonight. So, I'm just looking at this, and the top 4 seeds: Virginia, Villanova, Xavier, and Kansas. This is going to be an exciting year. I've been falling off the regular season a little bit over the last couple of years. This year I've been more into it than I was before, but just work and everything. I didn't have the time to really dedicate to watch and follow, basketball. But regardless, when March Madness comes around, I am glued to the TV. I love filling out the brackets. I just love I watch for the upsets. I just love the upsets, and it's just an awesome tournament. So, who do you have? Who is your go-to team this year? I'd love to hear and why. And who has the easiest road? They always say that it's the number 1 seed, and I take it that that's Virginia up there, but I don't know. I don't know who has the easiest path, because you just never know with these upsets. I kind of follow Duke, but I feel like their record in the postseason's awful. They get upset almost every single year, or if they make it to the Sweet 16, they get blown out by North Dakota or some team like that. But some surprises. I was upset that USC didn't make it in. I know that they didn't have a great year at Southern Cal, but I think they should have got it. Syracuse made it into the play-in round. I think that's good for them. A buddy of mine is happy about that. So this is going to be exciting. I'm ready for it. I'm ready for some thrill and help get me through this last couple of weeks of cold weather here in central Pennsylvania. If you didn't watch last week's episode about, or it was last week or the week before, it must have been 2 weeks ago now, I did seasonal effect disorder. I talked about that and how it's affecting me, and just I love the fact that we're getting closer to spring and closer to summer, so that I can start getting outside and doing things that I like to do. All right, so artificial intelligence. What is it? Artificial intelligence, AI, is essentially technology replacing human tasks and abilities, essentially. One of the things are these algorithms that we're using, like Facebook is using these AI algorithms to try to detect, what you want to see and how you're going to react. And it's trying to figure that out so that it can best show you content that it feels you want to watch. It's trying to figure out your next move before you even make it. And a lot of people, like I said, have supported this, but now we're starting to get to the point where artificial intelligence has the ability to really change exactly what the human race is and what the human race can do. And what I mean by that is, it's theorized that here in the near future, you're essentially going to be able to download your mind, download your memory onto the cloud. And eventually, and I don't know the parameters or the time frames for this, but this is just me thinking. If you can download your mind, you would also be able to upload things as well. And so if you can start to upload things, think about what this means medically. For someone who has dementia or someone who has Alzheimer's, they wouldn't need to remember anything anymore. If they already have the memories, essentially you could just have this information come in and then be directly downloaded as it enters your mind. And then you could just access that information whenever you need it. And I get that that's probably decades down the road, but maybe not. I don't know. But like I said, people like Stephen Hawking and Elon Musk, Steve Wozniak, and Bill Gates have been avid activists coming out and saying that we need to regulate AI because it could easily start to take over, functions of human beings. And we're seeing, I talked about last week, like having fulfillment in life. And what happens whenever robots start to just take over jobs that we do? I mean, we're starting to see that in fast food. You don't really need anyone to take your order anymore. If you want to talk about efficiency, ordering from a screen is a whole lot more efficient than relying on someone punching numbers into a computer. And then on the other side of that, you have the production aspect of it. I believe McDonald's already has the device that slides your cup over, and it slides it over to the drink that you choose, and then it fills it up to the same amount every single time. And the person literally just comes over and slaps a lid on. And if you don't think that they can start making cups that put a lid on, and then it just gets on a little conveyor belt out to you, that's coming. It doesn't, I'm going to say this lightly, but it's true. To flip a burger on a grill can be done robotically. It can be done without much assistance. To put a burger from a frozen holding area and flop it down onto a grill and have it flip or whatever, however they cook their burgers. I try to only flip my burgers once. And then once it's done there, it just moves onto a conveyor belt, goes down and puts the ingredients or the condiments and stuff that you want on it. And then it gets down, it folds it all together and puts it in a bag for you. And as far as paying, I mean, you can pay on your iPhone, you can pay on your Android, you can use a debit card and not even need any human interaction. Think of what that would do to the retail industry. I mean, our Walmart here now has the self-checkouts, and it's amazing that you walk by associates waiting to check people out. Their lines are empty, and people are waiting in line to do self-checkout. People are willing to wait to check themselves out versus going through a line. Is it because we don't want to talk to people? Is it because it's easier? I personally feel that going through self-checkout is much easier than going through line. Especially if I have kids and I just have a couple of things. It's very easy to go through, hit the start button, swipe my card, put the stuff in bags and leave. It's for me so much easier. My wife as well. And friends of ours, I mean, they all say the same thing. I would wait to go through self-checkout versus going through a line. Why? I don't know. It's just easier. I don't mind having conversations with people, but it's kind of the same. And maybe this is my fault. Maybe I should be more intentional about the conversations I'm having with people instead of just waiting for them to say, "Hi, how are you doing?" "Good." That's about the extent of the conversation. It's not that it's awkward. It's meaningless. It's so superficial. They don't really care how I'm doing. I don't really care how they're doing. Like I said, maybe that's my problem. Maybe that's something I need to work on. But what happens, back to the AI, what happens when, and they kind of do this with dogs, right? That you can chip your dog, and I believe there's maybe a country out there that you can chip your children now, that if they would, it's like a GPS or, it has all their medical files on that. And you think, well, if my kid would ever get lost, or if my kid would ever be kidnapped, or God forbid, something like that would happen, their GPS tracker is in them and we can find them. If your kid suffers from some kind of ailment, and this can keep track of their blood pressure or their sugar or, any kind of thing like that, once you want to do that. And then as these chips can get integrated into, our brains and the way we think and our neurons and all that kind of stuff. And trust me, I'm not the person you want to talk about the inner workings of our brains and how all that stuff works. But what I do know is that people are working on this. People are actively researching how to mix man with machine. And I don't know if you've seen the videos going around on Facebook, but there are now these robots that can do these backflips, that can go through all of these terrains pretty effortlessly. And I just think to myself, that's only going to get better. And it's going to get better faster. And at what point are humans going to say, that robot's better than me? And if we start to allow these algorithms and all of this artificial intelligence to figure out how we think, to figure out what we do, if they can learn emotion, if they can learn reasoning, if they can learn decision making, if they can weigh out the pros and cons in just fractions of a second, the opportunities are limitless, which is both good and horrific. I can imagine down the road being able to chip yourself. And if they can tie it in, and this might be completely sci-fi, but you would have no need to think anymore. You would have no need to go to school. You would have no need to do anything. You would be able to have on-demand access to everything in the internet just by thought. How many steps would it take to get from here to Alberta, Canada? You think it, Google pops it right into your head. It would take X amount of steps. How do I change the oil on this car? I mean, not that we would have cars at this point, but what happened on this date in this time, and everything just filters into your head. At what point in that scenario do we quit becoming humans and we become robotic? Where is that line, and where do we draw that line? Do we draw a line? Because people are going to say it's going to help humans. It's going to prolong life expectancy, because we're not going to have to do a whole lot, gang. If I can communicate with other machinery through thought, through voice activation, through Siri, through Alexa, if I can do that and I can say, hey Alexa, do this, there's not going to be a whole lot for me to do. And if they can tap into our minds, video games are no longer this, they're just this. We have these virtual reality worlds that are coming about. And as a techie guy, it's fascinating, and the technology involved is amazing. But it also scares the living daylights out of me. Because what does happen? What will happen? I think there would come a point where we're no longer human. There's a guy, his name escapes me, I forgot to write it down. But his theory is that within 25 years, we will no longer be human. We will be something else. And genetically, yes, we're still human. But from a mental standpoint, we will have advanced so much that we're no longer human. Or we're no longer human as we are today. Once you start combining robotics and AI with humans, it changes everything. And as parents as a parent of two young boys, 4 and 2 years old, it may not be in their lifetime, but in their children's lifetime, what happens whenever you're able to chip your child and that child now has infinite knowledge? Are you going to chip your child? Man, I wouldn't want to chip my child. To have infinite knowledge, to be completely interconnected with every other chipped person. Seems great to some people. Doesn't seem great to me. I wouldn't want that. I hate to say it, I don't want to be connected to some of the people I'm already connected to, and I'm not connected through some chip. But I think that's coming. I think there will come a point where you can connect your mind to other people's mind through some kind of chip that's inserted and connected through this cloud system that they're building. The fact that, just a few decades ago, the best way that we could communicate was through writing a letter to people. Then we could call people. Then we could email people. Then we could text people. And now we can just speak. And the phone that we have sends a message to whomever we want, wherever they are. Like that. That was a very weak. I can't do that with my left hand, but there, that was a better one. But instantly, you're connected. How do you disconnect? How would you disconnect from that once you're connected? Is there an off button? And how do we prevent AI from saying, nope, you can't get out now? I know there's movies and there's books and there's all kinds of, opinions on it, but I would love to hear your opinion. I would love to hear, what do you think AI will look like in your lifetime, and how much will it be implemented into the human race, into how humans act, into how we operate on a day-to-day basis? And does it excite you? Does it scare you? What does AI do for you? And how do we even regulate it? What would we even do? I'd love to hear your comments. Comment down below. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, or if you made it through, I just thank you for watching. I really, really do. Please like and subscribe. Give a comment down below on your thoughts on artificial intelligence. And I look forward to having you back next week here on the 306 Podcast.